On this episode of Arcade Fix, in this tube right here, I actually have new old stock side art. And this is for the original release of the game, which only had Centipede, Millipede, and Missile Command. That sure ain't gonna work. Okay, this is the Missile Command side. I have a control panel overlay. Here's the control panel overlay. Now, this is for the latest release of the game. I do have a cabinet that's not being used, but it's in bad shape. I bought it at an auction back in 2006, and it's a Kicks cabinet that was converted into Capcom Bowling. All right, well, I've dug the Capcom Bowling cabinet out. That's in the Kicks cabinet. It's filthy. It's been in the garage for years. When I first got it back in, I think it was 2006, I did plug it up and it did work. I'm thinking the monitor had a lot of burn-in, but I'm not sure about that, so we're going to have to clean this off and find out real quick. So I'll real quickly try to clean this up some. As you can tell, this front panel here, it's got a bow in. It's bowed in pretty good. But as you can see, it's in pretty rough shape. But I've seen worse. The coin bucket looks like it's full of crap. Still has a key in it, in the coin door, and it works. Ooh, crusty. Control panel is in bad shape, but it can be cleaned up. It has this plexi on the top, and as you can see, it's got a lot of cigarette burns there. So we're going to do away with all that anyway. I got the, as you've seen earlier, I got the new overlay. This is the same overlay that I got. Ain't but one thing to do. Let's fire it up. Pull the interlock switch here. See if we get any smoke fire. We got a hum. I thought I heard something pop. Fired up. I heard some music. And yep, looks like it works. We got a curl on the monitor, but that's just an adjustment on the monitor. Okay, let's temporarily wire this power supply up. All right. Let's try this again. Let's fire it up. Well, as you can see, the picture is very dim. I turned the flyback up as high as it can go without retrace lines. So either the picture tube is tired or it just needs a cap kit. But trackball's working. So the game actually works. Welcome back to another Arcade Fix. In this video, we're going to continue with what we were doing in our last couple of videos, and that's what to do with the TeamPlay multi-game board that I bought off of eBay 16 years ago, I believe it was. I finally got around to getting it up and running. If you haven't seen that video, check that out. All we had to do was just basically finish the hacked up wiring harness and hook it up, and it works. So what are we going to do with it? I don't have a cabinet for it. I have over the years been anticipating finding a cabinet, but I never found one. I also been collecting the artwork for a cabinet. So the game, of course, is the TeamPlay Centipede, Millipede, Missile Command, and Let's Go Bowling. Okay, so in this tube right here, I actually have new old stock side art that I got off of a club member. Let's see, when did I get that? I bought this in 2012, so that's how long it's been in this tube. It's supposed to be both sides. I haven't actually rolled it out and looked at it yet, so hey, we'll find out if it is what it is. I got the side art for $50 for both sides, so that's $25 a side. You can't beat that. And supposedly I have a marquee in here. The marquee translite it is. It's not a glass or a plexi marquee. It's just like a pinball translite. It's just printed on, you know, the translucent plastic or whatever it is, vinyl. And I got that for $40. That's also supposed to be new old stock. So, and this tube represents $90 worth of art. Now, let's start with that. I also got some other goodies. So, years ago I did open it and just took the roll out, but I never actually unrolled it. So, this is the first time we've actually going to unroll it. And right here, this looks like the marquee translate. Okay. And yep, that's what this is. And this is for the original release of the game, which only had Centipede, Millipede, and Missile Command. Let's Go Bowling is not on this. I believe a year or two later they re-released this game and they added the Let's Go Bowling game, and it's a completely different marquee. But that's okay. The Let's Go Bowling, it's okay, but I don't have to have the marquee with it. But if I can find it sometime to go on the cabinet, what the heck. We got this marquee anyway, so that's a plus. So let me put this over here out the way. Now, this side art looks awful big. I believe the brochure, the flyer for the game, said that they offered this game in a kit form. So I don't know if this art is out of a kit or this is dedicated for the 25-inch cabinet, or they also had a 19-inch cabinet. So anyway, it's probably too big for the top of this, but let's see. And of course it's, now let me do this another way. Let's start up here at the top. I need to find something to weigh it down. Let's see. I should have planned this a little better. All right, let's see if this tub will work. It's still not really, but that's good enough. All right, we'll just have to let it hang down. Need something heavier. That sure ain't gonna work. This'll work. Okay. Wow. That's big. Can't even get it all in the camera here. All right. Let me see if I can get the camera down here where we can roll it out and see it. All right, this side right here is definitely, I would say, for the full-size cabinet. And a bonus, right here on the side, we have the instructions that goes on a monitor bezel. So I would say this is probably printed for the kit, since it has you know, the instructions for missile command, centipede, and millipede. Doesn't have Let's Go Bowling, but hey. So evidently this was the original art, and unless the other one now, let's see what the other one has. So we know this is the centipede. So let's roll it up, see what kind of goodies we got on the other one here. Let me get that one off. Okay, this is the missile command side. And this one, this is for the left side, because the artist is back on this side right here. So up there would be where the monitor section is. And it has the classic arcade series decal here, which I believe mounted under the control panel on the cabinet. So I definitely believe this art was for the kit. So as you can see, it has missile command up here on the top, and then the artwork. It looks like the artwork from the original cabinet. And yeah, okay. So this is obviously for the release of the game when it came out original. And the marquee translate goes with this, but I'm okay with that. That's not a biggie. But I do have one more thing. I have a control panel overlay. Now here's the control panel overlay. Now this is for the latest release of the game. Because it not only has centipede, missile command, and millipede, it's also got Let's Go Bowling here. Now what I could do, I could scan this and use this top portion here, take out the game start, you know, edit it out, and I could have that printed and I could turn that into a marquee translate. But this here is for the 25, or it might have been a 27 inch in this release. But anyway, it's the wide control panel that sits on a box instead of a traditional control panel. And it's got the place for the 3 buttons and the trackball. And of course, the 1 and 2 game start, I guess you could put the buttons up here. So yeah, we could look at a picture of this type of cabinet and see what this control panel looks like on the game. So I got a mismatch here. But I don't have a cabinet, so it really doesn't matter right now. Now there's one other option, and I do have a cabinet that's not being used, but it's in bad shape. I bought it at an auction back in 2006, and it's a kicks cabinet that was converted into Capcom Bowling. So when I bought it, it was working, and I took the trackball out of it, and that's the one that I refurbished kind of quickly and got the game board up and running. So I would need to put, well, I'm going to dig the cabinet out. I'm going to go out to the garage. We're going to pull it out and we're going to see how bad it is. Last time I looked at it, the whole interior of the cabinet was white. It had what I thought was white mold in it. So we're going to get it out. We're going to look at it and see if we can deal with that, or see if the cabinet is going to be a total loss. One thing I could do is I could put this game in that cabinet, and I would hate to put this art on that kicks cabinet though, because this is new old stock art, and even though the way it looks, it may fit on the cabinet. I mean, we could try it and see. Let me know in the comments, would you use this art on an old kicks cabinet to turn it into the TeamPlay multi-game, or would you rather try to find a cabinet? I could probably try to find an original Centipede cabinet and put this art on that, or I could build one from scratch. I don't know, so let me know in the comments, what would you do? But let's go first and look at the Capcom Bowling game, see how bad it is. From what I remember, and that was a long time ago, 2006, the last time it was fired up. I'm sure it's got a bunch of crud on it now, and got to be cleaned up. I'm going to have to put the control panel back together because, like I said, I took the trackball off of it to use in here to test this game. But we can put it back together and see if it fires up. And if the monitor looks good enough, if the tube burn-in isn't bad, let's put it that way, I can either do a tube swap, maybe. It's a G07, I know, so I don't know how readily available you can swap a newer tube in a G07, if you can do it, if I have to find a vintage TV for it. But we'll worry about that down the road. Right now, let's go out to the garage. I'm going to dig the game out, and we'll take a look at it. We'll clean it up a little bit, put the control panel back together, and see if we can get it up and running. If it looks okay, we can clean the cabinet up a little bit and just temporarily put this game in it and just leave the artwork off of it. And I got one more thing. When I bought that game back in 2006, it was 2009, I almost started to do something with it, and I ordered a control panel overlay for the Capcom Bowling, and this is, I think, a universal control panel overlay. They did have, the game wasn't a dedicated cabinet, but this is the one which is universal, I guess, for a kit. So let's take a quick look at that. Nothing wants to stay on the top of a pinball machine with the angle. So it's nothing but a okay. Let's see if that'll stay there. The overlay itself is just a genetic, like a bowling alley, a bowling lane wooden floor, hardwood floor. So that's just basic. And then it came with this decal for the trackball. And then what we got in here? Oh, came with the button tags for the start, hook right and hook left. Okay, so what I could do is I could just go ahead and put this control panel back on it, and of course I'd have to add an extra button because the TeamPlay has 3 buttons. It has a right hook and a left hook, but it has a center button too, which all 3 of them can be used as fire buttons, so I really wouldn't have to put it on there. I could just leave that 1 button off. Anyway, that's something to think about. So yeah, there we have it. That's my options for the side art. So like I said, let me know in the comment, what would you do? Would you use this on the cabinet that I have and just make it into what it is? And I could leave Let's Go Bowling, I can leave Capcom Bowling in it and use a Mike's Arcade switcher, so I can have both boards in the same cabinet. So that's another option. I could leave the cabinet as a Capcom Bowling, because it does have the Capcom Bowling side art on it, but like I said, the cabinet's in rough shape, so we'd have to look at it and evaluate that. The side art looks good, but the kicks cabinet, those Tato cabinets have what I call the cabinet measles, if you know what I mean. Especially around the bottom of the cabinet, it seems like little bumps from moisture grows up on it. I call it the cabinet measles. So we'll see how bad it is and see how it cleans up. And if nothing else, we could sand the sides down, tape off the art, and just repaint it black, which is already black. And you know, make it look a little bit better. So anyway, let's go out there and see what it looks like. All right, well, I've dug the Capcom Bowling cabinet out. That's in the kicks cabinet, and here it is. From a distance away, it doesn't look too bad, but let's get close up to it. It's filthy. It's been in the garage for years. When I first got it, back in, I think it was 2006, I did plug it up and it did work. I'm thinking the monitor had a lot of burn-in, but I'm not sure about that, so we're going to have to clean this off and find out real quick. So I'll real quickly try to clean this up some. As you can tell, this front panel here, it's got a bow in. It's bowed in pretty good. I suppose that's from moisture. This is medium density board, I think. It's just like real fine sheets of paper glued and pressed together. And any bit of water gets in this, it swells up like a sponge. So I think that's what happened to that. Yeah, the marquee ought to clean up pretty good. It does have the side art on it, but as you can see, it's in pretty rough shape. But I've seen worse. I mean, we could sand the side down and probably put something on it to seal it so that moisture doesn't get to it anymore. The thing I don't like about it is it does have the offset T-molding, I think. Or does it? No, it doesn't. Okay. Well, that's good. I think it looked like offset in one position because I think the wood had swelled up on one side. Okay, well, that's a plus. The back door is intact. Look at all the filth and all from on the top of it here. But the back door is crooked. It's like the weight of the door has pulled it down. But if you look here, this is the thickness of the original way the wood is supposed to be, and you can see where that's swelled. So I think that is swelled out right there and kicked the top of the door over, and that's letting it come down. But it does close and still open. Now, the last time I had this open, everything in here looked white, like it had white mold on it. It doesn't look too bad right now. I suppose this is probably from kicks. Although I don't see anything on it that really says that's where it's from. But it looks old, as old as the cabinet, so I would think it is. Of course, it doesn't have the hardware for the door, which originally had the lock in the middle, and it had a bar that ran down to the bottom and to the top to help keep the door locked. But that's not a biggie. It does have a G07 monitor in it. And like I say, I don't know. I thought it had a lot of burn-in, but we'll see. It's got a updated Peter Chow power supply there, which, like I say, was working. And there is the Capcom Bowling board. And like I say, it was all working. It's got the original, I guess, suitcase or whatever you want to call it, transformer. There's nothing but the transformer in here. I think right there in that area is where the power supply for the kicks would go. It's got a lot of spider webs in it. I got to clean out. Got a booklet here. Let's see. Okay, it's got the Capcom installation manual in it. And of course, it's still got the power cord that slides into this piece here in the bottom. Okay. Let's go back around the front and look. The control panel didn't, well, it's actually got a plug right here, but that was probably from the kicks. Most of the wires have been cut, but there are still a few wires that's got electrical tape where they spliced it in. But going to the trackball, it just had these connectors that were wired direct. So I just pulled them off the trackball, and I made a new harness when I hooked it up to the TeamPlay board. Got a couple micro switches dangling and a couple spare wires there. The base of the cabinet came apart, and I think this is part of it. Yeah, this was part of the base, and you can see how badly that swelled up. And I don't even see the angle brackets ain't even on it. So thought I'd saved all the pieces. Might be, the angle brackets might be down in the bottom there. The coin bucket looks like it's full of crap. All right, still has a key in it, in the coin door, and it works. Ooh, crusty. Let's see. Well, everything's there. It's got, what's that, 29175 on the coin counter. That's just a generic sticker somebody put there. Machine number 410. They probably had their own number system. Does have the original test button and I guess service button here. And let's see. Get the coin bucket out of here. Oh yeah. That's what's left of the brackets went. Yeah, they just completely rusted out. There's one that is completely gone. So what I'm looking for is the nuts for the trackball. I took the trackball off and left the mounting bolts in the control panel. I'm missing one of the mounting bolts, but I'm missing all the nuts. I got some new ones on order, but they won't be here till day after tomorrow. Well, let me go ahead and see if I can clean this up a bit, and I'll do that off camera. You don't need to see me wiping this thing down. And we'll get the glass off the monitor and see how bad the burn-in is in the tube. Okay, well, I started cleaning it up and I've run into a snag here. I got the glass clean, but the glass slides in these tracks on either side like glass on a pinball machine. I had to take a metal bracket loose that had 3 Phillips head screws in it here, but the glass is stuck in there. So I guess all these years of sitting, maybe something got on there, moisture. It's been kind of glued itself in those tracks, so I can't get the glass out right now. But looking at the monitor, it doesn't look as bad as I thought it was. There is a dark splotch right here, but that could be dust or dirt. I don't know. It could be in the solder mask. I mean the the screen mask or whatever inside the tube. But I can tell by looking at this, this is the original monitor that was in the game, because it's got Kicks burn-in. I thought it had Let's Go Bowling burn-in, but no, that's Kicks burn-in. It's got the outline of the box all the way around it, basically, and Kicks down here in the corner. And probably up there, see, Kicks has the score up there maybe, but I can't see anything up there, so it's really not that bad. Now what they did with this bezel, this might be the original Kicks bezel, although I don't see a cutout here. It's supposed to have a clear place here for the instruction card, which was lit up by light bulbs on this side. The light bulbs are there in the bezel. Well, the bulbs might not be, but the bezel is there for it. But this has been turned over upside down, so the black paint is on the outside here. So they actually flipped this over. So I can't get that out right now. I'm just going to keep soaking it down on both sides, and hopefully it'll loosen up. I test fit the control panel, even with this bow right here, and with the damage on the control panel, it still will fit on here. Control panel is in bad shape, but it can be cleaned up. It has this plexi on the top, and as you can see, it's got a lot of cigarette burns there. So we're going to do away with all that anyway. I got the, as you've seen earlier, I got the new overlay. This is the same overlay that I got with this same graphic for the trackball and the wood, hardwood floor looking stuff. Under here though, it is rusty and crusty. And this particle board is supposed to go all the way across here to the other side, and it's just gone. And this is MDF board. You can see how it's swelled up. So I'm gonna have to cut new wood and replace the wood, clean the panel up. Also, it has all the holes. Still got the joystick hole where the Kicks had a joystick, and it's got all these other holes. They didn't bother doing anything with the holes, I guess, because they put the plexi on top. So there's no way nobody could, push their fingers through it. So, yeah. All right, well, plan is I'm going to try to clean it up good enough to where I can mount the trackball back on here. And we're going to wire it back up and fire this thing up and see if it still works. That's the plan. All right, well, I got everything wired back up. I had to put new, I actually used buttons on here because the ones that were on here was just so grossed out. And the switches, I'm sure, were bad, and they had some of the wires were soldered on. So I rewired up the control panel, put the trackball back on. A little concerned about the original connectors that go on the trackball. They might be corroded, but we'll find out. So let's go ahead and put the control panel back down. That's good enough for testing. All right, now let me go ahead and plug it in and see if we can turn it on. Let's see, find the cord here. And we're going to plug it in. I got the interlock switch there turned off. It's a power switch up in the front, but don't think I ever messed with that, but we might have to. I don't know. Let me plug it in and see if we get any sparkage. All right, I didn't hear no sparks. Let's see. Ain't but one thing to do. Let's fire it up. Pull the interlock switch here. See if we get any smoke fire. We got a hum. Is that from the speaker? No, it's not from the speaker. Might be from that power supply. And we got nothing. Okay. All right, we might have to get the voltmeter out and test a few things here. First thing is first. We know we got power. We hear a squeal. So now we're going to have to check to see if we got voltage. I'll unplug the board. Should have done that to start with, but it worked the last time I had it fired up, but that was back in probably either 2006 or 2008, somewhere in that range. So it's been sitting out in this humidity garage for all them years. So all right, let me go get my voltmeter. All right, let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the power to the monitor. We don't know if we have any monitor problems, but I didn't see a raster, so we're just going to eliminate that from the circuit. Now I'm going to unplug the jammer board. Okay, so we should have everything disconnected. So now let's see if we can see if the power supply is putting out anything. All right, we're on DC volts. All right, let's turn the interlock switch on. And I don't hear a thing. I guess this Peter Chow power supply doesn't have a indicator light. I don't see any light. So let's check for some voltage here. It's ground. These connectors awful rusty and crusty too. Here's 5 volt plus. I thought I heard something pop. I'm getting nothing from the power supply, but it could just be crusty connections here. I was getting something a minute ago, but I heard that pop. But everything is disconnected except for maybe the lights to the coin door. And the marquee lights. But I wonder if they run on 5 volts or 12 volts, or if they run on AC. I don't know. They must run on something because the lights on the marquee was on. I turned the switch on to come on. So are they running on 120 volts? All right, let me check this power supply again. Let me see if we got the 12 volts going. Nope, I don't see nothing. -5. Nothing. All right, that must be running on AC then. Okay, I'm going to take the power supply loose. Might even just pull it out and put another power supply in it and go from there. Okay, well, before I go to the trouble of changing the power supply, I went ahead and took the board out the cabinet and I plugged it in to the JAMA harness here. I don't have the control set up now, just the buttons maybe, but I don't know if they're wired the same. But we should be able to get a picture if the board is booting up. So let's go ahead and do that and find out if this board works. Let's see, I gotta turn it on here. There we go. All right, here we go. Fire it up. I heard some music. And yep, looks like it works. We got a curl on the monitor, but that's just an adjustment on the monitor. But yeah, it looks like we have a working game, so I suspect that power supply has gone bad. Probably some animal, a mouse or something, may have got in there and sort of urinated on the power supply, because it has vent holes in the top of it. So that's very possible. Let's just see what happens if I do. Yeah, I can hit a button and start a game. But it's no credits. It's not set up on free play. Okay. Alright, well, unfortunately I don't have any credit buttons hooked up to this, because the credit buttons on the TeamPlay board all go through this other connector here on the board, the small connector. So that would be a problem unless I put them both on free play. If I was to put both of these in the same cabinet and use a jammer switcher, then you also might have a problem with you know, the other game was adjusted for this monitor, and now this monitor isn't quite adjusted properly, but there may be a sweet spot where both of them will work. Anyhow, let's go ahead and swap that power supply and put the game back in there and see if we got a game we can play. Okay, let's temporarily wire this power supply up, and let's see. Of course, this one would be, well, we could put it the same way. Let's see. No, it's not the same. This one, they got to come out of the top. It's angled on an angle. So, all right, this one is 12 volt minus 5 ground, 5 volt plus, and AC line, AC neutral. Okay, I have no idea how they wire these up, but we're just going to guess for now. I'm not going to hook up any field grounds anyway. Now, until we get ready to do the permanent installation. I just want this temporary because I just want to see if the monitor works and try out the gameplay, see if I like the game. Because all this is going to have to be stripped down if we're going to attempt to save this cabinet. Alright, come on, get in there. There we go. Alright, now all these are just wires that are screwed, well, just twisted together. So, that'll be alright. Like I say, it's just temporary. Okay. And ground. Logic ground, not to be confused with field ground. This is your ground for your 5 volts. Minus 5 volts and 12 volts. Okay. Now, I believe the yellow was minus 5, but I better check. I took a picture before I took it off. But I'm pretty sure that's right, but you always want to check to make sure. Alright. And yeah, the yellow was on the minus 5, and the orange is on the 12 volt. So, yeah. Okay. So let's do the minus 5 next. And last but not least, positive 12 volts. Open it up a little more. There we go. All right, we got our power supply wired up, so we're just going to set it right on top of the old power supply. All right, before I plug the monitor back in, let's go ahead and power it up. Gotta plug it back in. I unplugged it for safety reasons. You don't want to work on live AC power with it plugged in, so just remember that. No matter how good you are, you can mess up. All right, let's fire it up, and if the game is wired up correctly, we should hear sound out of the speakers. So let's turn the power on. There we go. Sounds like we got a working board. Of course, we already know the board was working because I tested it in the house on my other test rig. But now we know that the power supply and the jammer harness and all that is working. So cut it back off. Let's plug the monitor in. And we'll go for broke on that. We didn't see any fire and smoke last time, so. Just one of those connections there. Making a good connection there. All right, let me set the camera up around front, and then we'll fire it up. All right, let's try this again. Let's fire it up. And no picture on the monitor. Like I say, the marquee lights up. No coin door lights though. Let's see if we can coin up a game. Whoa, that's loud. Alright, let's see if we can start a game, play blind. I actually see something on the monitor. Real faint. Let me turn the fly back up. Maybe that was the focus. Always get them backwards. All right, let me figure out what's what on this monitor. It's been a while since I've adjusted a G07. Well, as you can see, the picture is very dim. I turned the flyback up as high as it can go without retrace lines. So either the picture tube is tired or it just needs a cap kit. But trackball's working. So the game actually works. It definitely needs a cap kit because we got that curl in the picture. Let's try a hook. Oops, waited too late. I guess you hook it after you roll it. Let's find out. Yes, that's what you do. Okay, well, we got a working game. So we're gonna have to pull the monitor and see if we can do something with that monitor. So we're gonna end this video right here. Let me know in the comments, what would you do to shape this cabinet it's in? Do you think it's worth trying to save? Should I leave it a Capcom Bowling? Should I put the TeamPlay multi-game in it? Should I try to put both games in it with a Mike's Arcade switcher? Should I try to put that original side art on this cabinet if it'll fit? Those are the questions I have to answer. So feel free to put it in the comments. What would you do? And what do you think I should do? I'm gonna have to make up my own mind, but I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say about it. In the meantime, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel because we're gonna have more coming here shortly. So till next time, this has just been another arcade fix. Have you had your arcade fix today?